Good morning, everybody. It's me, Teri Hunter. It is Sunday, the 21st of April. We are currently experiencing the first conjunction, 21 degrees between Jupiter and Uranus. Fasten your seatbelts. I'm going to give it a minute for people to kind of come in, see anybody out there. Hi, small wildflowers. Hi, Catherine. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Taurus season. And for everybody in playback, today's live is based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I talk about a sign, I'm talking about your rising sign. This is also based on your moon, your sun, and if you have 3 or more personal planets in any one sign or house, that sign is going to be applicable to you. It's going to be important to you. So pay attention to it. Most of us just look at our sun when we see our horoscope. Good morning, Jay. Good to see you. Good morning, Margie. I don't know why the lighting in my apartment is so glary lately. We've had a lot of cloudy days. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about what's going on. First of all, I have done a full moon in Scorpio video, guys, separately. It's not a breakdown for readings for each sign. So I'm going to talk about that, today a little bit. But it's a big moon. We always have full moons every month, but the focal point of this one is Pluto. The sun and the moon in a full moon are in opposition. The moon is in Scorpio, and it's making a really tight focal point of transformation for Pluto. And Pluto's stationing to go retrograde. So we're going to be revisiting some of those old stories, some of old restrictions, some places where toxicity is still lurking in the nooks and the crannies. And I want to offer it this way because, poop, okay, in and of itself is nasty, but manure helps the garden grow. So our opportunity as souls inhabiting a human experience is to recognize that we have choice of focus. And sometimes the choice doesn't feel like we have a choice because we kind of go boomerang back to sort of this default. And I feel like the opportunity is to surrender to the default and then just ask if it's current. Today, we have Pluto squaring the sun. Taurus is at 2, the sun is at 2 degrees of Taurus, and Pluto is stationed at 2 degrees of Aquarius. So this is like where, this is an opportunity to look at, does my ego get in the way? Am I invested in my story so much that I forget that I want to say it this way. It becomes more challenging to manifest the things that I want when I'm focused on all the things that I don't want. And this is accentuated this week by Venus's conjunction with Chiron at 20 degrees. The 20th degree is the Scorpio degree, another Plutonian theme. I swear, the more I do this astrology, the more it just feels like a puzzle to me. And I don't know if I've got Neptune starting a very tight conjunction with my South Node. Neptune is like at 28, 29 degrees. It's going to be soon. It will retrograde. But the closer it gets to my South Node, the more it's triggering something about who and what I am. And at this chapter in my life, I have a certain awareness that I want to display. So I still have reactions. I still have a Martian knee-jerk reaction to things, and it's not always the sweetest thing, but I have learned how to use it when necessary. And I think that is what is going on here. Pluto in such a strong conversation with this full moon. So wherever Aquarius is in your chart is going to be the focal point right now. It's going to be on how will you revolutionize yourself? How will you express your individual brilliance, your light, your genius? Are you focused on your smallness or your bigness? Are you willing to go into the depths of the unseen? Because if you think about Aquarius is a scientific sign, inventing things. You don't know if it's going to work out or not. You have to be willing to experiment. You have to be willing on some level to take quote unquote failure as a point of information. So that's what's going on here. And with Venus, how I make my money, my self-worth, my possessions, my partnerships, how in an exact conjunction with Chiron, okay? Now, that's at 20 degrees. Then we have Mercury and the North Node. Mercury's retrograde this week still. It's going to go direct on the 25th. So we're going to experience Mercury slow down and hovering over the North Node in Aries. And this is really right now, Mercury's at 16 degrees, but this is going to culminate at 15 degrees. How do I think? How do I speak? Sometimes I got to tell you, the more I do this work, as I say that often, I hear people's conversation and I hear how their go-to, like when you ask someone, how are you? And then they launch into all their issues. And all I see anymore is the law of attraction in place. Well, of course, one thing's going on another because that's where you launch to. And I'm not saying you can't ever talk about your challenges, but being aware of the vibration with which you are talking about those challenges is really what's most important. So I really think that this is a huge week because the Jupiter-Uranus transformation is at the 21st and 22nd degree this week. First, they're together today exactly at 21, which is that Sagittarian degree that Jupiter rules, an opportunity to broaden my perception of the human experience, to recognize that the human experience wouldn't be as fruitful if there was no roller coaster ride. If there was no darkness, there could be no light. And I know it sounds trite when it's said too often, but I think that's what Pluto is offering us. When I've been doing my research and doing my videos, I'm trying to get ahead of the game. It's hard for me to do that. I'm almost done with May. I've got one more video to shoot. And I noticed that Pluto is in a constant sextile right now to Neptune. Pluto is currently, as we say, it's slowing down to retrograde in May, back into Capricorn. Neptune is going to retrograde back into Pisces. And then the two are going to travel through a sign change again. And we're going to see Neptune move into Aries in March of 2025. And we're going to see, of course, Pluto continuing its journey through Aquarius. This, to me, is so powerful because the sextile represents a favorable dynamic. The houses themselves are both individualistic and futuristic. And even if you think about Mars, Mars as being the first house, the Aries, the self, you're venturing out into the human experience. And then Aquarius is elevating that experience. So literally, we are all going to become more conscious that our thoughts are things. And the more we say something, whether it works for us or not, the more the universe just delivers the experiences, the people, the dynamics to support that conversation. Okay. Now, before I go into the readings, I'm just going to say one more quick thing, because with Mercury retrograde conjunct the North Node, your thoughts will be ravenous for how you can individualize yourself from whatever you feel has enslaved you, whether it be a memory, history. Mars has been traveling in Pisces. Pisces rules ancestral and soul history, because as you start to kind of put the pieces together and you see the puzzle, then you can start to see how the colors and the hues work together. Because I think when Venus and Chiron today are really saying, well, how can I use this to my favor? We talk a lot about Chiron being the wound, but Chiron was an incredibly gifted healer and revered. He was the only centaur that could cross the two worlds between the more feral animal world and the more civilized human world. And he was, celebrated for his teachings. So as how can I allow myself, because this is the other thing I want to say real quick. Venus represents money. Okay. And I think all of us are being called to look at money as a vibration versus as something we earn. I think we are all being called to the potentials of expansion with our money from places unknown. Like that's this conjunction that could potentially liberate you. So, if you get excited about something or you get ideas, notice how whether the idea gets to expand in possibilities or whether you go back and you look at your human experience into the probabilities of it happening. That is what I think is the essence of this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction right now in the sign of Taurus, ruled by Venus, who's in a conjunction with Chiron, offering us a huge opportunity to see that sometimes, we're literally propelled by somebody's criticism into our own greatness. So there you go. All right. We have talked about the dynamics and the opportunities that this landscape presents. I got to, just on a personal note, I have my little peaceful warrior shit going. Oh, pardon me. Did I say that out loud? Stuff going on in the background. And, I've never really engaged in these kind of Jupiterian things before. And yet today I found myself in my meditation thanking my adversary, because my adversary is so arrogant that it really is starting to amuse me. And my self-containment and awareness, instead of reacting and getting even combative like I normally have been in the past, that is completely absent from the situation. And so I thanked God, the angels, and these humans who have perpetrated this, what I believe, crime against me. I've thanked them because they have let me demonstrate my own self-talk. And while I'm not enjoying this much, and I can't wait for it to be over, I also know that the victory that is pending, this is also going to be sweeter because I've known it all along and I've trusted it and I've had faith beyond my eyeballs. This week, the big illumination, as you watch that moon get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, it's going to be focused on other people's control over you, the fears you have, how you've maybe been small and not allowed yourself to expand because, dynamics have been such that it was just okay to do this kind of, thing. The nodes are calling upon us. This moon is calling, the stars are calling upon us to step into our greatness and our brilliance and to enjoy the journey, to put our hands up when the roller coaster's going down and not to drudge too much when it's cranking up the hill. Okay. All right. Taurus, happy birthday. So many amazing things. Hi, Ken. Welcome to the room. Hi, Jules. Hi, Stephen. Okay. Alrighty. We are going to start with our birthday babies. Those are our Tauruses who have been experiencing this conjunction. You have about another month of Jupiter's energy in your first house. And, I believe that all the planets have their, kind of good news, bad news, because that suddenness of Uranus and the unexpectedness of it can be a little bit jarring. I'll say that. But I want to offer this because if Uranus is in any way taking Taurus's energy and kind of churning it up a little, creating anxiety, I think that might be a little bit of your oversoul saying, am I following my true north? Am I following what's authentic to me? Or on some level, am I still kind of operating on the same sort of, I don't even know if routine is the right word. It's kind of thinking now, some people we walk every day, working for the weekend. And now I think maybe it's more about more awareness in walking through the everyday of it, every day of it. Okay. All right. Let's see what our tarot card is for our welcome, Sophia. Oh, welcome to the room. All right. Well, Taurus, isn't this an interesting energy? This is the Hermit. This is sort of the theme of the week, is an illumination. It's also, I get such a Saturnian feel here. So we have sort of a layered feel with the Hermit. The Hermit represents a time alone, introspection that leads to enlightenment, that leads to wisdom. This also has a strong Virgo energy attached to it. So here we see, we're going to look at your work environment and how is that supporting you? Yes, it makes money, but does it leave anything cold? Are you benefiting from it? This Uranus transit, some people have experienced unexpected things. I have a Aries rising and a Taurus moon. So I've had Uranus going through basically my 12th and first house in Placidus. Well, I told you this is based on whole sign. I have a late degree Aries rising, so it makes most of my first house Taurus. And there have been some things that have happened unexpectedly, but they have led to such wisdoms about what really is truly authentic to me. It's also led to an opportunity to see where my own fears, trepidations, doubts could potentially hold me back. And then I hear spirit in my head say, are you willing to walk through that uncomfortable moment to see your own greatness? Let's see, Taurus, because you're ruled by Venus. You have the ability to create your own possessions, your own money, your own comfort, your own sense of security. It's really the big caveat for me with that second house is that we're coming into this soul's experience in a pack environment where we want to be part of and celebrated. Everybody does. Every child, learns how it's okay to fail or not. And Taurus is very sensitive and quiet. It doesn't really, by nature, it's the stoic one, even though it represents the voice. So it can sometimes internalize these subtle things that eroded its confidence. And I think maybe this full moon, coupled with this willingness to spend maybe a little time with intentional time spending alone, not feeling alone, but saying, I want that illumination so that I can use Uranus's energy to liberate me from what's ever holding me back from demonstrating to myself in the material world my own talents, my own gifts, my own skills. Your first angel, Taurus, is the angels of compassion, Grace, and Antoinette. The second is Serena, the angel of money and abundance. The third is Rosetta, which represents children and parenting. And the final is Sonia, which represents your team, your loved ones, those that watch over you and guide you from the other side. And they don't guide you like you're a child, they guide you with their light. They hold light and space for you when you are in the darkness. And I sense that this full moon may be a little bit hard. Just whenever Pluto's involved, Pluto is a kind of like a little bit of a master's ride. If you're gonna jump on Pluto's saddle, you got to know what you're doing. And so when you're willing to not villainize yourself or other people or situations, when you're willing to look at the difference between, there's a theory we all play the roles in our life. We play the perpetrator, the victim, and the hero. And this is what Pluto's going to illuminate. And I bring this up because the Hermit is also reflecting that you're going to experience a time of quiet potentially, or a time of reflection that will offer wisdom. Okay, Grace and Antoinette is being joined by Merlin, which also represents alchemy, justice, and balance. We have Serena being joined by the Risk card, Rosetta being joined by the Cat, which represents independence and 9 lives, and then we have the Bee, which represents luck, industriousness, and sweet victory. Okay, so this is what I want to say for my Tauruses, because, I'm a Taurus moon. I'm kind of a weird mix of I'm very, very cardinal. most of my stuff is cardinal, but my moon being the emotional body, I'm attached to my history. I kind of don't forget things. And I can have a sense of insecurity about my skills, like where do they fit into what box? How do I identify them? They're like a 64 box, of Crayolas. And how will I relate to the other people? Because this to me feels as if for my Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, Grace and Antoinette is about compassion for the journey of your own alchemy and balance. And when I think of justice, I think this is a very just time for you to step into your expansion. When I think about Jupiter, yes, foreign people, foreign places, higher education, but business, commerce, marketing, branding, the fact that these internet platforms give so much opportunity for a side hustle, even if you don't need millions and millions of followers. And if you hit a video, you never know what can happen, because here in the opportunity, the obstacle is literally the angel of money, saying that the money you need will come from God and the angels, and to check your vibration. Are you serene? Because the risk comes in trusting all that you have prepared for. And most of that may not be what you've prepared for in the material world right now. It could be what you've been preparing for since you were a child, in your own self-worth and nurturing your own talent and skill. I'm of a certain age. Y'all know I'm 64 years old. I didn't start being Teri and working for myself until I was 54 years old. This month, this week is my 10-year anniversary of working for myself. And when I started at what I thought was a late age, I had trepidation. But here the angels are saying, you've known this from the inside out since you were a child. And it's time to treat yourself and guide yourself as if you would your own child, because your own independence is up here, and Spirit is offering independence. And then there is Spirit telling you that when you're aware of your being energy, there is good luck and victory ahead. So this last few days of the Mercury retrograde, okay, then Mercury is going to station before it moves forward, and it bangs up against Chiron all over again. This is a time of being able to reflect and say, am I sitting in judgment? Am I sitting in criticism of myself? Am I saying, oh, I shoulda, coulda, woulda? And in that reflection and in the compassion for the journey, you start to realize this has been the time to risk all of it. Yes. I don't know that I could have been Teri at any earlier chapter of my life. I dreamt about it. And when I initially dreamt about it, it was a brick and mortar building where I would house tons of books and information for people to study spiritual concepts and principles and disciplines. And, none of that happened because technology changed and the world changed. And wait a minute here, Jupiter's about to move into Gemini. Oh my goodness. Pluto's going to move back into Aquarius. Of course, technology is going to change, and the platform that could be your greatness hasn't even shown up yet, because mine didn't show up until Yelp. Yelp didn't show up till I was 50. I didn't get my first review till I was 53. I didn't do YouTube until I was almost 58. I know we're not talking, my little memory lane, but I'm just trying to say, don't let anything get in your way. Just look at your focus and give yourself baby steps. Okay, on to Gemini, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Your card is the 5 of Cups. This is a little bit of a challenge. Let's look and see what the angels say before I start talking about the 5 of Cups and pontificating on the keywords. Keywords kind of bug me these days. I mean, yes, they serve a purpose, but this is about expanding and allowing our own musings to broaden, like when things hit us, when we look at these tools that God gave us, letting them, rather than trying to look in a book, what does some other human interpret this to be? I'm going to allow myself to interpret it, because there could potentially be your ruling planet is right up against the North Node and Chiron. You could literally be reviewing things that have brought you challenge and sorrow. We have Merlina, the angel Merlina, we have Serena, money, in the same as Taurus. Taurus is your 12th house, by the way. Yvonne is about vulnerability. And the final angel is Archangel Raphael. Okay. All right. The horse is joining Merlina. Our Lady of the Lake is joining Serena. Yvonne is being joined by the protection card. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the dog. Okay. When I look at this, you know, we're talking to so many different Geminis, different ages and different desires and wants in the world. And I feel like there is the potential here. This is a card of sorrow. One of the key words is divorce, but the character is being illuminated. We saw this in the Taurus energy with the Hermit. And it's through a sense of sorrow that this person gets to make a choice whether they focus on what has fallen, or what is still attainable. Now let's go back to the full moon in Scorpio. And then we have this Venus Chiron conjunction and Mercury running up against the North Node. You know, if you think about the stars, it's like right now the full moon this week is, or we could say Jupiter and Uranus are the star, yes, but the full moon is going to illuminate something as it makes a T square to Pluto. And that to me is the big, all of a sudden, Jupiter and Uranus aha moment, right? Could be your 12th house, something historically, the way you think about things or how you've been operating that is actually not working for you. Because here I'm looking at the horses representing Jupiter, and Merlina is offering some sort of, you know, she in this deck is there, everything in the picture represents a sense of balance. And we saw Merlin in the previous reading. So this could very well be about Gemini and your focus and an awareness, an illumination of what your focus is. I'm trying to think. The five of cups is the cardinal energy. It's Cancer energy. Yeah, moon. You got it, Jenny. You're right. It is moon. So here now, here we have the Lady of the Lake, and we have Serena. And Serena is about abundance, about money, about material resources. And then we have this Lady of the Lake that is really a deeper truth being illuminated. When we look closely at this Lady of the Lake, we see that, you know, her hair is flying from the wind. That's her thoughts. The ocean is churning. That's her emotions. And yet she's holding her truth, the sword, ever so gently. And I find it interesting that the ribbon, you know, wraps her torso in red, because that red is a base chakra. Your truth comes from holding it gently during storm, serenity, trusting that there's a bigger path ahead. And I want to offer it this way, because the human is pre-wired, literally imprinted to try to find solutions to things. And Gemini gives data and passes information along. And so there may be a sense of again, I get, you know, when I look at this card, and I can't help it, this one's haunting me in the background. They're both this sort of almost taking a moment to just stop. I had a client here the other day who was like having huge anxiety, and the ocean has been really churning, and you can hear the waves, and they crash and they go. And I said, don't try to meditate. I said, I just want you to listen. Just listen. And after about 10 or 15 minutes, I think it was 10 minutes, she kind of settled into the kind of, you can hear a rhythm, a weird sort of concert between the blower down the street and the people walking, and then the ocean in the background. So I kind of feel like Gemini, that potentially this week could illuminate your mind. And instead of trying to think or see, listen. Try to just let your ears, because you may hear something that you and I don't know exactly what it is, but it feels almost like a beat of life. a rhythm of a highway, the rhythm of something, because you're being protected in this moment, and you're being required to be vulnerable to something you can't see, and to understand that if you feel that something has been lost, there is very well something much better to be gained, but you just don't know it yet. You just don't know it yet, because the universe is putting positions, moving things around. So here's this epiphany from Archangel Raphael for something you truly love and you really want. And that goes back to this. And I want to offer it this way, because oftentimes we focus on the things we want in a longing energy. And I almost feel like, if we feel that longing, Gemini, because your brain's starting to want to bounce and, analyze everything and think it through. What else does Gemini do? Of course, Gemini and Virgo are going to think it through, Mercury. But here, this is more like, you know what? My turn is to wait for the universe to give me my inspired action. And it's coming. It's coming. I got to tell you, some of the biggest devastations I've had led to the greatest things that I've had. And that's where at this age, I'm always like, all right, Spirit, this feels like it sucks. Give me a sign or something that I'm in alignment with my deeper truth. Okay. That's the way I've been putting it. And you guys are all going to think I'm an idiot, right? But I'm going to say it anyway. I've been playing the scratchers. I've been playing the scratchers because, I'm a Taurus moon and I want more money in my bank account and I want to not worry about money. And then I'm like, okay, Spirit. So right now I know that I don't believe that I could really win $1 million. I mean, I do believe, but I know my vibration's not strong enough. So when I play the scratchers, I don't really worry about whether I win or lose. I look for my vibration with money. So I almost always win something like a ticket or $10 or whatever. Then I do dumb things like watch My Lottery Dream Home on Friday night. I don't particularly like the show, but I like watching all the people that have won. Most of them, have won through the lottery. Some are, inheritance. But when I see it, it's like every time somebody says, I went to my favorite store and I just got the hit. I'm just going to buy a lottery ticket today, or I'm going to buy a different ticket than I buy usually. And I'm like, ooh, there's those weird vibes. Okay, just stay the course. So I fully expect to win $1 million. We'll see when it happens. I'll let you all know, especially you, Small. You'll be getting a special phone call. Okay, are you ready to go on to our Cancers, Rising Moon, Sun, and Stelliums? All right. Ooh, look at this, Cancer. You've got this beautiful Temperance energy. This is a really actually very strong and powerful energy, because when you look at it, it's talking about balance, but the character Archangel Gabriel is not necessarily even having what we would call human balance. There's why not stand further back on the grass where it would be easier? But that's not balance. That's not the balance that this card is talking about. This balance is talking about my eyes are closed. My balance comes from my wings. There's a Sagittarian attachment to this energy as well. And so here there's an ability to go in a new direction. And it all comes from the calm and understanding the flow. See how the cups are flowing? One goes into the other. The way the feet are, one is on a rock, the other is in the water. And then we look at that crown. Are you willing to go onto the journey and keep your eye on the prize? That's where the balance comes. Let's see, Cancer. Because I want to offer this. For the late-born Cancers, we're going to go into a period of time where you're going to experience Pluto opposing your first house again. If you're late rising, you'll experience Pluto's opposition. And an opposition is oftentimes represented by some experience or human being coming in and literally opposing the things that you want, or presenting an old story. And you're almost fighting with yourself. Am I going to do the same thing over and over again? Let's look and see. All right. Our first angel is Astera, reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. The next is Celeste, a happy move to a new home or a new place of employment. We have Rosetta, which is talking about being a child. And I want to offer, when it comes in the angels' advice, I often think of it more as spirit looks at you as a child of God, and that you are learning how to trust your bigger picture. There's Indriel, the light worker. Because often while Celeste talks about a physical move to a new home or a new place of employment, I really see it as a shift in the way I'm thinking. There is nothing that I do without an awareness of my be-do have. I mean, even when I have videos to, I'm like, oh, I need to do this today and do that. And I'm sitting in the kitchen, cleaning the kitchen. I know perfectly well that, okay, I know how I operate. So this is me teeing up my being energy. Sometimes cleaning is like a meditation for me. Okay. Astera is being joined by the stag. The dragon is joining Celeste. Rosetta is being joined by the water fairy. And the final is Indriel being joined by the protection card. I want to offer this because there's very much potentially. So I started to allude to it earlier, but I didn't actually say it. I said it, but I thanked Spirit for my adversary's arrogance, and I thanked Spirit for my opportunity to be aware of my own being energy during a disruptive time, and I thanked them for continuing to help me to be more sure-footed in my lack of reaction to anything. Silence is a powerful tool when it's used properly. Silence used in a defeated manner, not so great, but silence used in a manner that supports a bigger version of what you want, because I really think that this Temperance card is representing for Cancer to close your eyes and go deep within, and to seek your balance within, and to know that there is a flow of life. Here is Astera saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And I lovingly want to say the stag feels like there could potentially be a little bit of that Pluto energy in this full moon banging on you, because when I was doing that full moon video over and over again, I saw that whole theme about how we all play 3 roles in every situation, within ourselves. I play both the perpetrator, I play both the victim, and I play the hero. Even in my outward scenario right now, where to me there is a clear perpetrator, how I roll on the inside is what counts during the journey. Because here, this is really Spirit asking you to shift your thoughts in many ways, to understand a deeper inner knowing versus an outer knowing. This is why the eyes are closed. The Sagittarian feel of the Temperance card is my belief system. Jupiter and Uranus are conjunct today. They're going to continue to be conjunct. This energy is not dissipating in 2 days. We're going to feel this all the way until Jupiter moves into Gemini. And what the things that are coming, the epiphanies that are happening right now about our self-worth, about our possessions, about what we want and how we make our money, they're all being sort of the seeds, or they're being the little seedlings that have cropped up in the garden to be nurtured so that they can truly give harvest later in the year. Because Spirit is really asking you to dig deep like a child into your emotional body, your inner knowing. There were things I did as a child, that, as a young woman, that were pretty stupid, honestly, but I would always have this weird thing, like, is today my day to die? Like when I would lie to my parents and sleep at the beach with my friends, but you could do that back then and it was a lot safer. But my point is this: there's somewhere you are being called forth to close your eyes and go into a deeper inner knowing. And as this full moon illuminates something for you that may potentially be distasteful, because you may find out that there's something about how you've been viewing something that has contributed to your own discomfort, but now knowing that gives you a piece of information, because Indriel, the light worker, is telling you that you're being protected. But this protection card is a 38, which reduces down to an 11, which then supports shifting the way you're thinking about something. Or let me put it this way, because the shift really just comes in a moment of awareness. When you are aware of something, whether it's tasteful or distasteful, you have an opportunity to just in that moment be like, oh, okay. Where will I go from here? Will I judge it? Will I criticize it? Will I be defeated by it? All that is a moment of awareness, which is technically evolution, which is technically shifting. Okay. Onward and upward, as they say. I don't know who they were, but I'm pretty sure it was a military term because I just saw a bunch of guys going up a hill in my head. And I have Neptune on my south node, which makes me very crazy lately. Intuitive, weird details are coming out. It's kind of scaring me a little bit. Okay, here we go, Leo. Oh, and look, you got your card, the Queen of Wands. This is absolutely Leo. See all the little lines everywhere? This is a combination of fire and water. This is a loving, nurturing energy. This is the energy of passion, looking to the future, looking to what grows. Look at that sunflower, what grows. And the staff is a willingness. We in most of the wand, we see foliage at the top of it, at the top of the wand. And here, this wand is really not like that. This is a seasoned tool now. So if we think about what the wand represents, it represents all the things of fire, the passions, the beliefs. It represents all the elements in one, in the wand suit of Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries. So here, to me, her passions and her ideas, she's now using them as a tool to create her future. So Leo, let's go. Now, okay, hold on. Let's not forget that Pluto is opposing you in your 7th house. Now, I want to offer this because, and I don't know if I told y'all, but I did a second Taylor, Travis, and I compared Joe. I didn't have their times, and I know I could hear astrologers everywhere be like, you can't do that unless you know the exact time of birth. But you can take some of these planets and you can look at them. Joe has a 1 degree Saturn on Taylor's 1 degree Venus in Aquarius. No bueno. So my point is this, because as you're looking to the future and Pluto is opposing your 7th house, it may feel scary. Like, what's going to happen? Is something bad? Is my marriage going to fall apart? Is my business going to fall apart? Not necessarily. It could be transformed into something that you can't even imagine in wealth and expansion, because Pluto no, not darn Pluto. Look what has happened to Taylor. She became a billionaire. She became Time Woman of the Year. She found the love of her life. Pluto did nothing bad to her. Yes. Did it tear her up and she wrote TTPD? Absolutely. But yet that album is going to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. She's breaking records all over the place. She turned her darkness into, and she's got Mars on her Scorpio ascendant. So it's not easy, but she decided in this lifetime to take on some big issues, some of those underbellies that Scorpio represents, and she will flourish from it. So yes, Pluto can be a little bit scary, but boy, Pluto can pay off big time. So let's go on. Let's see where Spirit is asking you to stand in a royal and leadership position of your future and what you want for it. Here we go. Wow. Well, listen here. Well, this is all it's for all Leo rising, but Sophia, yes, this is important. Neptune is very, yes, Neptune can be erosive. Neptune can be feeling, they say that Neptune washes things away. But if you really think about it, Neptune ruled the oceans. Like, the power of Neptune and the sextile it's going to make to Pluto over the next decade. Everybody who's interested and seeking awareness and quote unquote evolution, there's so much opportunity in that sextile to become a peaceful warrior, to represent riches through a spiritual dynamic. Holy cripe. I kind of can't wait to see how that plays out, but it's all going to play out on my south node. So we'll see. Okay, here we go. All right, my little Leos. Daniel, the angel of marriage and partnership. Ariel, new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself and the world. In the angel's advice, we have Caressa, the end of one life cycle brings happiness to another. And then Shanti, the angel of peace. Mm-hmm. Now, when we talk about Daniel, on the face of the card says that he's assisting you in your partnerships, your marriage, contractual partnerships. What is Aquarius? Your contractual partnerships. Now, Pluto is stationing. It's going to retrograde May 2nd. It will re-enter your 6th house in September. So the summertime, you could very much be thinking more about professional partnerships and the things that bring passion to your future. I don't know that this is about, love. But, I want to offer this because, I don't know, maybe people unsubscribe because they're not Swifties or they don't like Taylor or they have different political views. But she took her pain and she put herself on the road. And in putting herself on the road and looking to her future through her passions and through her creations, that's how she met Travis. Just months after her breakup. Okay. Daniel is being joined by the disruption card. Okay, that's interesting. Ariel's being joined by the cat, which represents healthy boundaries and 9 lives. Caressa's being joined by the death card. And Shanti's being joined by the love card. Wow. So this full moon for you, my darlings, is going to illuminate something. And I want to offer this. It could be an internal illumination rather than an outward illumination. Because the disruption card, I love to call disruption divine disruption, because disruption to me is a look again at what is truly important to me. And I want to offer this too, because when we're talking about Daniel, the angel of marriage, and the history you have in relationships, this could represent disrupting your history. And if your history sucked, this is exactly what you want. To sort of integrate your history, to sort of allow yourself to rise above your history, because now you have an awareness and you have the ability to focus on that awareness, to focus on your future with passion. Because here is Ariel in the angel's advice, in the opportunity or the obstacle. This divine energy of Ariel showing you that you're having spiritual experiences that may be bringing you a sense of independence. In a sense of, whoa, you know what? I'll tell you, I have had an interesting dynamic with somebody wanting to befriend me, a person of the opposite gender. And, there's been a weird feeling when I encountered this person's energy. And I was lucky enough to get their astrology chart. And when I looked at the synastry between us, I'm running for the hills. Okay. Because I honestly want to say that I do believe that the tools that you have and what you learn and what you know and your own intuitive skills are bringing an inner knowing. And if for some reason you see yourself at the end of something in a transitional place, that transitional place could really be the death of how you have perceived your partnerships in the past, or how you have engaged in those partnerships, because the road ahead is filled with peace and love. And that peace and love is kind of what I feel like, if we look at what Taylor's journey was, in the video that I did that compared her and Joe, I just referenced her Venus in Aquarius 1 degree sits on his 1 degree Saturn. That's no fun. And even if Saturn rules Aquarius up against Venus, that's no fun in Aquarius. So she struggled and she felt an erosive energy for a long time. If for some reason Leo has been feeling an interior erosion, like I judge myself too much, I tell myself, well, it never works out. I always attract this kind of person, or I always attract this kind of boss, or I always attract, because there's something about allowing the new chapter to start. It's something about looking to the future, but not looking at it. I'll tell you, Queen Leo, okay, I'm not advocating any sort of putting yourself in jeopardy or peril of any kind. But 10 years ago in April, I used to work for this chiropractor, and I'd been building Teri and I've been doing side hustle. I had no idea if I could, really support myself. But I said to Spirit, one day I'm like, I can't do these people anymore. I cannot do these people anymore. I'm sorry. And I'm like, if I can support myself, you're going to have to start bringing those people in. You're going to have to, make it happen. And I drove home one for lunch and I came back and I quit my job. I also was stupid enough or brave enough, I don't know which, to call an old boyfriend who had a lot of money and say, will you give me a $5,000? It'll help me psychologically make this jump. And he did. And I think that's God's blessing, because now it's 10 years later and I don't have that worry anymore. And I trust my ability to create and co-create with the universe. But I don't advocate anybody doing anything I do, because I'm full of piss and vinegar. And unless you're kind of like me, where you just won't take no for an answer, I wouldn't advise this. I don't want anyone hurting themselves. Is my speech crackling? I apologize. I hope not. We're still in a Mercury retrograde, right? Okay. Yeah. Don't take anything that's not for you. I'll tell you, honestly. All right. We're going on to our Virgos. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And this is beautiful because here we have the Chariot. This is a card of victory. This is a card of intuition. It rules the sign of Cancer, and it is riddled with symbolism. When we look at it, the Chariot is by nature, it's supposed to move. It is made of cement. And here what we see is the movement doesn't come from the physical movement. It comes as we move up the chakras, and we see the canopy of stars above him. We see the moons are his armor. So for my Virgos, this is very much potentially an opportunity to dig deeper into your what is your truth. I think I remember, my Virgos out there, Virgo rising, I think if I remember correctly, Taurus is your 8th house, isn't it? No, let's think. Virgo rising, it would have to be the 9th house. 5th, 9th. 5th would be Capricorn, 9th would be Taurus, if I remember correctly, because there's going to be something about shifting your beliefs then and victory within that. Let's look and see what the angels have to say. Because if Taurus is your 9th, I was going there because of the conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus. And it could change your work status, meaning, if you take a dig deep dive into what's important to you, what you want, without looking too much at survival tech, what you need to survive, you could end up finding that the spirit has been moving things for you to step into a higher vibration of abundance, material abundance. All right, let's see. Virgo rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your first angel is Sonia. This angels of your teams and sometimes your loved ones that are watching over you from the other side. Rochelle is about following your heart and knowing that financial prosperity will follow. We have Indriel, the light worker, which is always about shining your light. And we have Yvonne, the angel of vulnerability. A little bit of a challenge here. Virgo, your ruling planet, like we said to Gemini earlier, is rubbing up against the North Node, but it's also had some intense conversations with Chiron. And so here we saw as Mercury went into Aries, it had an intense conversation with the North Node and Chiron, goes all the way to the 27th degree, which is the Gemini degree. Then it moves back, having intense conversations about these wounds again and again. And here you are trying to process the wounds. How did it start? Where did it end? How do I do? No, none of that's going to help. Inside of the Chariot card, there is a square that you see the charioteer wearing. This is referred to as a Saturnian energy, because Saturn is limiting. And so really here on some level, we're seeing this between the heart and the throat, the way that lands. So this chariot is really saying your victory comes from being able to dig deeper into your inner knowing. And there's a vulnerability to that because Virgos want to see the process in the human dynamic. This is a human structure that's being deconstructed. We cannot forget that Saturn is also opposing you in your 7th house. All right. Sonia is being joined by the Raven. Magic, coincidence, and synchronistic events. Rochelle is being joined by the Love card. Rochelle is my harmonious wealth angel, where she brings such abundance that I don't really just refer to it as money. It feels like so many genres of my life are starting to fire up, and I love it. That's your opportunity, Virgo. Indriel is being joined by the partnership, and as you shine the light for what is your deeper truth and what you love and what is important to you on a level that your transformation represents your true service to others. Sometimes I think that, we in the key words, we box people in, and Virgo's the slave, the employer, the employee. It doesn't seem like a lot fun happens in Virgo. The health, we always think health and then we think bad health, daily habits and all the obligations attached to that. But here, when a sign like that, starts to move in a different direction, which is to trust the inner knowing, what's most important to my heart, what makes me feel like I'm at home. And then I allow the universe to bring the synchronistic events. And my job, my opportunity is to walk through what I love, to be brave enough to engage in a partnership with spirit instead of a partnership out there in the world. Wow, things can happen. Total transformation. Because this death card is not negative. This death card is you being vulnerable to your deeper truth. And when that starts to manifest, and then you apply your Virgo processes to the things that you love, magic can happen. And I know I'm kind of belaboring the whole Taylor thing, but I just did the video yesterday, and her chart is very clear in my mind. She has a stellium in Capricorn. A lot of people could think that's depressing, that she has a lot of challenges, but it's what makes her work hard and use her work and her creativity. Neptune, Mercury's in there, her self-expression, and her own personal history, second house Capricorn, to express and work through and process her stuff. So I feel like there could potentially be more creativity coming, a more creative way of looking at what you want, and that there is victory being offered. But part of it is also surrendering to your partnership with spirit and knowing that spirit is aligning things so that when the opportunity comes, you're ready to walk through it versus having trepidation or concern. Okay. Because if I would never have taken that, if I never would have just had some crazy feeling like I can do this, there was no precedent in my life that I could do this. And now I can't imagine doing anything else. And it's changed how I operate in the world. Spirit first, alignment first, be, do, have. What is my being energy? And if it's off, I don't try to push anyway. Oh, we haven't even begun to see what she's going to do when she starts to procreate kids. She's going to take over a whole new market. All right, here we go. Pardone. Libra, are you ready? Okay, this is fun. The Knight of Swords. This is for Libra rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. 145 Club, I don't think it's her mother at all. I think it's totally authentic. She has a South Node in Leo at the 17th degree. Go watch my video. I'd be curious to see what you think. It's not very long. I don't think so. I don't think she's a stage mom at all. I think actually she might be the stage mom, dragging her mom all over the world. And her mom loves her so much, she just surrenders. She's such a powerful energy. Mars on her ascendant. When Taylor wants something, she won't give up until she gets it. And that's why they moved to Nashville. And that's why she's so successful so soon. And it's why, I saw some video on TikTok that said that she was a Libra rising, and I just laughed my ass off because she would never write these songs if she was a Libra rising. She'd be too afraid of pissing people off. She's totally Scorpio rising, late born Scorpio rising. Okay, back to my Libras. This is the Knight of Swords. Let's just talk about this for a second. This is not an easy energy. It's the teenagers of the deck. This is fire and air. And what does air do to fire? It just blows it up. This guy has no interest in looking at the details. He's just blowing somewhere. Let's see what this means. because I don't know if this is an adversary. I don't know. We've got a lot of, if we think about what's happening in the stars right now, we're talking about Venus, your ruling planet in Chiron. Aries is your 7th house. So there's an opposition going on of something, Venus, wound, Chiron, Mercury, North Node, all in your 7th house. That's a lot of stuff going on in your house of how do I create peace and harmony and diplomacy and cooperation and be me at the same time. All right, here we go. At first I was getting a little bit worried about that growing old thing, but I think I'm settling in now. I think I'm starting to like it more. Yeah. So what about this whole physical appearance? Going through this huge disruption that I have and watching myself assert myself in a place that I've longed to be with actual peace and trust, I wouldn't change my age for anything. So welcome. I think you're at a lovely age, 145, entering into more and more savory chapters of your journey. Libra, the Knight of Swords, is charging towards Mystique. And Mystique is saying to keep charging ahead and don't take no for an answer. Then we have Bethany, self-care. Vanessa, faith over fear. And Archangel Michael. That's all about courage to implement the changes that you want. Now, I've been talking about, pardon me, the South Node going through your 1st house. For me, and through my interpretation, is the South Node asking me to be literally a little bit, maybe this isn't the best word, but I'm going to say it anyway, a little bit self-centered about what I want. And I usually use the word egoless to other people's opinions, and that's really what I mean. But here I feel like the sun is in Taurus. Your ruling planet is part of this full moon's connection. And I say it this way because Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So while they don't actually have any real strong aspects, if anything, a blind spot, this could be a blind spot to your greatness. And the illumination to Pluto is very important because that's your 2nd house of money. And so I think that this, and there's that in the 8th house is where this full moon is taking place. There's potential transformation. So this night could very well be continue to charge ahead towards what is so important to you. And because you continue to do that, as you evolve into a more individualistic partner, your individual needs are met by your creations, your sense of self, exciting. You become a better partner to those around you, both professionally and intimately. So Mystique is being joined by the joy card, by what brings you joy. We have Bethany in relation or being joined by the partnership card. We have Vanessa being joined by the love card. Oh my goodness, this is so fabulous. And then we have Archangel Michael asking Libra to have the courage to tell an enchanting story. The bear, I often refer to it as history, but look at it. Poetry, music, poetry, myth, history, and the enchantment of storytelling. Libra, this is taking no prisoners. This is a good energy right now. This is sort of like, don't look too far. Don't worry about the scenery right now. Stay focused on that which brings you joy. Come into partnership with that which is your deepest truth. This isn't about outside partnerships. This is that Aries energy in the 7th house. And now, as you do, having faith that you will still feel loved, be loved. And if you don't have love in your life, then there's the opportunity to feel love. And I want to offer that not necessarily in an intimate partnership way, but in the way that brings me a sense of peace, a sense of cooperation, and a sense of harmony. Because Archangel Michael is asking you to tell a new story. Now, the other reason I laughed at that astrologer, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at her, but I laughed at her because Libra is notoriously passive aggressive when they're pissed off. And there's no way that Taylor, if she was a Libra rising, would write those scathing songs. Thank you, Amy. Hello. That is Scorpio rising. Because now, Libra, you are being tasked to tell a new story. No more passive aggressive. Sorry, I like you, don't like you. You just got to do you, be you, and allow people to experience that joy that you feel internally, which will then bleed out into the relationships you have with others, which will actually feed it and fuel it in a way that you couldn't even imagine. That's the thing about these cooperative signs. They think if they take care of themselves, they'll be abandoned. And so they end up not doing that. On Taylor's new album, she wrote a song called Thank You, Amy, but the letters K, I, and M are capitalized. You got to listen to it. It's all about how a dark energy actually healed her and actually empowered her. It's so Plutonian. It's fabulous, but not fun. Not fun on the onset. Not fun sometimes in the first 3 quarters of the journey, but when you start to get the awareness and the ability to understand the journey and ride it, then it gets a little bit easier. All right, on to Scorpio. This is your moon, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. We have the Fool. Now, this card in the tarot is represented by, a lot of people think it's Uranus. I don't really do. I think it's Mars. And I say that because this is Mars in the high vibration of the pioneer, of the one going out into the unknown territory and exploring, the one who tests things. I'm going to test my ability. I don't always look and see where I'm going, because for me, if this was Uranus, while it would go in new directions, it would very much test and not analyze. It's not the word I want to use. When I think about science, it goes through a series of hypotheses and then experiments to prove or disprove the hypotheses. This guy's not doing anything but dreamer. This guy is a dreamer. All right, let's see what's going on. And if you're a pioneer, you must be dreaming of a better life. If you're a gladiator, you're dreaming of winning. We can never forget that Scorpio is co-ruled by Mars. So we have all the elements of other people's money and a deep psychology and sex coupled with everything Mars. Mars is the warrior, the gladiator, the hero, the pioneer, the brave one, the angry one, the resentful one. All right, so this new territory, where are you going? Rochelle, following your heart, Scorpio. Caressa says you're at the end of a life cycle. New happiness awaits you. Ariel is saying new psychic and spiritual experiences are opening yourself up in the world. Good morning, Lucy. And then we have Bethany, which is about self-care. Okay. Rochelle is being joined by the Death card, which is actually very much yours. And I want to offer this because the Death card is a 46. I should have brought this up earlier. The 46 is the death of thoughts that don't follow and serve your heart. And this Fool is an opportunity to go where you've never been before. Caressa is being joined by the Partnership card. There is an end of something coming. That full moon is offering some sort of ending, some sort of conclusion, some sort of awareness. The Stag and Ariel are joining. Here we see it's about time to take leadership. Earlier, I referred to the triad of the hero, the perpetrator, and the victim, and how we all play we each individually play these 3 roles in our circumstances. The roles vary in size in situation, but where I'm trying to say is this could be where the illumination is. This is where you could realize that there's something about how you're showing up that is the end of this partnership could be the end of unconsciousness, of not following your heart, of not being slightly frivolous in your adventures of self. Bethany is being joined by the Deer. Now, this is interesting because the Stag and the Deer are technically the male and female counterparts of the same species. When I look at this, I almost feel as if Scorpio has been following some kind of, almost like they think they're following a dream, but if they dissect that dream a little deeper, there could be elements of it that aren't actually authentic to your true heart. And this may be a bit of a, oh God, I didn't realize that. I'm still chasing somebody else's value, somebody thinking I'm valuable. I don't know why I want to go there, but now I feel like there's a transformation. And through that awareness, you're like, okay, I'm going to start to take leadership. And as I go into this idea, because, when you look at the powerful sign of Scorpio, most people just nail you for the dark side, right? And it's such bullshit. I'm sorry to say, Scorpio gets to take care of themselves through a gentleness and a diplomacy with the self. So I'm going to offer this. Having Mars and Pluto as your ruling planets are going to make you powerful. And Spirit is saying, now that you have all this power, how will you be the hero in your own life? Because you know who rules the hero? Aries. And Aries rules Mars, and Mars is in alignment with the Fool. Okay, here we go. So enjoy your illumination, the awareness that comes this week. There's a lot of things in your co-ruling planet sign. Aries, we've got the wound, Venus rubbing up against the wound. But we also have your co-ruling planet this week having a conversation with Neptune. So this is about bringing a spiritual dynamic, a divine dynamic, a universal dynamic into your energy. All right, Sagittarius, let's see where we're going. Oh, this is a fun one. This is the Six of Cups. This is a card that represents innocence and a sense of the world is a good place. It's also very much represents your childhood and your childhood experiences. And depending upon what subject matter Spirit's going to illuminate, there could be an offering of some kind, maybe an offering of love. All right, here we go. All right, Sagittarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Mystique says to keep charging ahead, expect miraculous solutions. Shanti is the angel of peace and tranquility. Crystal says have faith, there's more hope on the horizon. And then we have Desiree saying that conditions aren't necessarily favorable. Well, Lucy, Sagittarius rising 15 degrees, you're on the great attractor. Anybody who is in, I think it's within 5 to 10 degrees, I'd have to check my notes. Anybody who has a personal planet rising sign within that degree, you're literally a be-do-have human. Or maybe you're not even human, who knows? But your soul is a be-do-have soul. So this awareness, thank you, universe, for bringing me all the resources I need, because I live on the great attractor. So powerful. So any efforting will not work for that Sagittarius energy. It'll actually be the opposite. And the 22 degrees is right near the galactic center where you can download information. Sagittarius energy is so full of soul's awareness. And when you plug your soul's awareness into the human experience, like a toaster into the electricity, thank you, Esther Hicks, then you're plugging into the divine. And you don't need to have an experience. It could be the slightest inspiration that says, go to the stop and go and get a lottery ticket versus going to the market. All right. Mystique is being joined by Merlin. Mystique says to keep charging ahead, expect miraculous solutions. Merlin is the grand wizard of alchemy. Shanti is being joined by the Joy card. Let me show you. There's Merlin and exactly. Lucy, you got it. There's peace and joy. And the Joy card is a 37, which reduces down to a 10, which is a 1. Merlin is a 1. We have, we have Crystal being joined by the Earth Fairy. So something's coming into your earthly experience that you've been wanting, that you've been longing for. And then we have Desiree being joined by the Deer. Okay. We are in a process of receptivity. And I want to offer it this way because many of us that are standing in awareness are going to experience what I call the waiting period, the pause, because here, this keep charging ahead and expecting miraculous solutions is an attitude. It's a process. Oftentimes I refer to it as Gloria Estefan's Coming Out of the Dark and Into the Light. It's a song she wrote about being in the darkness of potential paralysis and then going through a process and coming out of an accident and walking again, because you are absolutely being offered an opportunity to experience joy in a way that you have not experienced in your earthly incarnation. And now it's a little bit about really keeping yourself in, knowing sometimes that the landscape on the outside is not matching where you want to go. So let me just back this up. When I was younger, there was no YouTube, there was no Zoom, there was no Yelp. And here I am celebrating my 10th year of independence as a result of Yelp being invented and getting my first Yelp review. Yelp reviews led to clients, clients led to money, money led to the expansion of my mind and how I thought I could be, which led to studying astrology. Then that led to this. Because right now, Sagittarius, there's something about a timing situation. And this is about being gentle and diplomatic as you walk through this process of alchemy. And there's a very good possibility that Spirit is asking you to take, to enjoy a childlike innocence, because it's not really about the destination. It's about the journey, because the journey is what's going to reveal the bounty at the end of the day. When we think about Sagittarius here, we're looking at your ruling planet being conjunct Uranus. So whatever is shifting, you won't see it coming. You just won't. But when it does, you'll be prepared for it. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, here we go. On to our Capricorn, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Let me sit back. I tend to lean forward. It's not fun on my hip. All right. Oops. Take a quick sip of my tea. Well, it didn't seem like it needed to be belabored, and I tend to talk too much. We've noticed that, have we not? I swear to God, I'm going to die, and there's going to be sounds coming out of my coffin. My consciousness will have left the building, and my mouth will keep moving. All right. Here we go. Capricorn, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Wow. This is a yummy card. This is Mars in Capricorn, the Three of Pentacles. This represents work, contract. This is representing Mars in Capricorn is exalted. And, one of these days I'm going to do a video about these planets that are supposed to fight with each other. And yet, Mars exalted in Capricorn. And yet every astrologer says, ooh, Mars in Capricorn. Mars wants to slow things down. Mars wants to speed things up. Saturn wants to slow things down. This is mastery. And this mastery leads to opportunities to work in partnership with others in teams. Let's see. Now, we think about Capricorn and the idea that in a few short months, we're going to see in September, the last degrees of Capricorn have a revisit from Pluto at that anaretic 29th degree that reduces down to an 11 of thought, the mastery of thought. That mastery of thought is never wrestling your thoughts to the ground. It's a recognizing the roller coaster and having a point of awareness. That point of awareness allows choice. Choice is what karma is. Karma doesn't happen to you. Focus happens to you. All right, Capricorn. It's being completely rewritten. Our first angel is Athena. It's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself towards the job you want or within the position you want when you want to work with others. Archangel Raphael is offering a healing and epiphany. Ooh. We have Archangel Michael. Do you have the courage to make the changes? Put your hat in the ring. Adriana says she's leading you to the answer to your prayers, to your thoughts and your dreams. I referenced earlier that, I'm on my 10-year anniversary of working for myself, and that literally my job pissed me off, and I quit it. I've never done that before. And I had to make some brave decisions about that. And in one of them was putting myself in a place of compromise, or where I could have been criticized by asking somebody who no longer was in a relationship with me to give me something. I asked an old boyfriend to give me a little bit of money. And I literally said to him, I'm never going to pay this back to you unless I win the lottery. And he was fine with it. And I don't regret that, ever asking for that. And I'm so blessed that he gave that to me. So I want to encourage this Capricorn energy to lovingly assert yourself in a way that may make you feel slightly uncomfortable, but when it supports your future, there's something bigger to be seen. All right, Athena is being joined by the novice, which is a new beginning, using skills without practice. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the dog. Archangel Michael is being joined by the mystery card. And then Adriana is being joined by the focus card. I'm going to say this for my Capricorns. I think that if you want the job of your dreams, now is the time to start planting the seeds for that. I feel like if we think about it, we look at just Capricorn is your first house, then Scorpio is your 11th house. This could very well be birthing something on the internet. This could be, the 11th house is hopes and dreams. I bring up Scorpio because there's a full moon coming and an illumination of some kind. And, if indeed there's a dream job, a dream position, something you want, I think this is kind of a little bit of a time to put focus on that idea, because it feels as if an opportunity is going to present itself. And now, will you be brave enough to step through? What if you don't quit your job? Well, then don't push yourself, Queen Leo. Be the above, trust the bigger picture, because that's exactly what happened to me. I was going to snap. This girl was just such a BI, CH. And I was just sick of her. I was sick of oh my God. And I really, truly, it was a Uranian moment, to be honest with you. I didn't know it at the time, but I've looked back. Uranus was on my ascendant. But anyway, because this lovingly asserting yourself and the novice, I don't know if it's about Capricorn pushing to go get a new job as much as it's asserting yourself into what you believe your dream job or your dream resource maker would be. Because here, the healing comes from doing what you love and starting to focus on what you love, and then asking for an opportunity to present that. Because when I started my work, I didn't say to Spirit, I love being a tarot card reader. I want to be a tarot card reader. I said I was a spiritual teacher, and I will use whatever tools you put before me to help do that. That's why the teachings of Abraham came across my plate. It's why information from all sorts of places, because I had to have the courage to make the choice to follow my dreams, to follow what I loved, and to trust that if I was doing that then I would make money. So I did a fair for 3 years. That was the last Sunday of every month. I built quite a following. I was kind of one of the more popular people there, quote unquote. And then after 3 years, they wouldn't let me bring Lucky anymore. And I'm like, I'm out of here. And I said to Spirit on that first month that I wasn't going to the fair, I said, if I'm truly meant to be independent, then you will fill this day with clients. And they filled it with clients, and I made twice as much money as I would have made had I gone to the fair. Because now it's time for Capricorn to focus in on the idea that you're being led to something bigger. And if you're experiencing disruption, which Queen Leo, that's Pluto opposing your house of professional partnerships. I'm assuming Queen Leo is your Leo rising. But wherever it is, Aquarius is opposing you. So outside resources are going to push up against a dark spot in your psyche in order to allow you to shift beyond it. So here for my Capricorns, so I'm moseying on, we have an opportunity for you to start to focus on your dream job and what that looks like and how you are working in cooperation with others. And then I believe Spirit is going to bring an opportunity that may inadvertently test your faith in yourself. And as you step through that, you'll find a favorable response, or you'll find an opportunity that will potentially be coming up in the future. Like, oh, well, right now we may not need, but down the line, you didn't make it on the show this year, but come back and see us again. You're really talented. And then you come back and you get a 4-chair turn. All right. On to our Aquarius's rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. Oh, the Lovers card. This card, you know, it's so funny. When I used to read young girls, they'd see this card, they'd get so excited. They'd be like, oh my God, oh, I'm going to get a boyfriend. This card is not about lovers. It's about the choices we make and lovers. It's about the Gemini energy. It's about the vulnerability that we display when we listen to our inner knowing. Archangel Gabriel is sitting above this couple. Again, eyes closed. The eyes closed are really a representation of going deeper within my inner knowing. And let's look and see where this is going, because as Pluto is in those first degrees of Aquarius, if you look in your charts, because if you have planets in Aquarius, you're affected by Pluto's transit as well. You don't need to be an Aquarius rising. But here, I think we're looking at choices. I think we're looking at making choices that could potentially make me feel vulnerable to loss or to something distasteful. But in the inner knowing, that's really not good. I don't know if that's really it. And I want to say this too, because Spirit has shown me more and more that when an Aquarius dominant energy feels anxiety, it's their inner knowing clapping at them, saying, follow me, follow me. Don't go down a road that will ultimately not be authentic to your truth. Here is the Lovers being joined by Archangel Uriel, frustration. Azure says your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. Indriel is the light worker, offering you a connection with spirit. Yes, Queen Leo, it is a choice card, absolutely. And then we have Rochelle saying to follow your heart. And the Lovers is this Gemini energy. So it's a choice card, but it also represents the the duality of the twins and of how the mind can bounce back and forth. Archangel Uriel's being joined by the focus card. Azure's being joined by the disruption card. Indriel's being joined by the restriction card. And Rochelle is being joined by the hawk. I want to say that Spirit is literally saying to Aquarius, if you have been focused on your frustrations, you're kind of working yourself over. And this new moon is going to bring some sort of, full moon is going to bring some sort of illumination. But, Scorpio is always going to square Aquarius. So this moon could potentially square and illuminate a frustration, and that frustration and the focus sitting with the vibration of that frustration. The vibration that is actually marrying you to the so this is probably the choice to make a different thought, to be vulnerable of that, even if you have no evidence of it. Because right now, and I'm going to say this very lovingly, Aquarius, if you're experiencing a block in where you want to go, which Azure is telling you your desired outcome will happen in the near future, we've got to disrupt the frustration attached. Because frustration is actually a very potent energy, and it creates a lot of density that blocks manifestation, because it looks like you could potentially be restricting your inspirations. And of course, that's a natural thing. You can't be inspired into action when you're focused on what is disrupting you. Because here, in the end of the day, you're being asked to follow your heart and to look for the signs and omens that are supporting your heart. I think this is why Spirit has been so, I think it's been like 2 years that they've been really, they go from, well, it represents the nervous system and anxiety. And I'm like, oh God, that's no fun. And the anxiety comes from ignoring your genius, because your genius takes you outside the box, and being outside the box feels separating. Humans aren't wired to be separated. So as you embrace your genius, then what happens is you end up embracing the masses that brings you feeling closer, not further away. So I think that's a little bit of, It's an awareness thing for my Aquariuses, really. And the awareness is just like I do my best in any given moment. I can't do more than I can do. And, frustration is a natural part of the human experience, but will I live there? Not necessary. All right, let's go on to Pisces and then our Aries, and we will be done for the day. The commercial's coming. I can't do anything about it. Okay. Let's go on to our Pisces. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. We have double fire here in the passionate Knight of Wands. When I see fire, I think of fire brings life. I think of passions. I think of Pisces creativity. I think that Saturn is moving through your first house and could be creating inadvertently a little bit of dampness. Mars is going through your first house right now, could be creating a little bit of, Mars in water, not so great. And at the same time, Mars has been tasking himself with this spiritual warrior energy to represent the transformative energy of Pluto. So here we see this idea that Pisces, this is about charging towards your creativity, towards the fire in your life, towards the things that bring you a sense of passion, sense of creativity, sense of excitement about moving out into a larger arena. Okay. When we look at the nights, this is a physical prowess time. This is a time when the physical body is at its peak. All the nights are going to represent a gladiator energy of some kind, in and of themselves, a bit of a warrior energy. Why would they wear helmets? Right? So here, I think this is a fighting for your passions and sort of allowing yourself to recognize that you are aware and compassionate to other people's opinions, but will you allow their opinions and their wants and desires to supersede your own? Justice for all. We did Capricorn already. You might want to check your moon and your rising. All three are applicable. All right. Let's see. Here we go. Pisces, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Archangel Raphael. The second is Archangel Gabriel. The third is Bridget. And the final is Caressa. Pardon me. So here we're going to experience a trine of this full moon to your first house. So, regardless, depending upon what's happening in your first house of Pisces, there's a strong energy of illumination with Archangel Raphael. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the perception card. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the love card. Bridget's being joined by the focus card. And Caressa is being joined by the burden card. Okay. This is my thing for my Pisces, because I think that some of you may be experiencing a little fear from Saturn. Some of you may be thinking, am I good enough? Am I attractive enough? Am I palatable enough? Whatever the story is. Will my partners, my loved ones, the people who I hold dear to my heart, will they hang with me if I continue to ferociously pursue my passions? And here, I believe that Archangel Raphael is representing that Scorpio full moon, illuminating your own personal perceptions. Because oftentimes the people around us, they don't have to agree with our ideas or with the things that we find are interesting, but if they make us happy, then we're happier partners, or we're happier to be around. Because the dog is talking about unconditional love, and Archangel Gabriel is talking about having a divine life's purpose in communications and the arts. And oftentimes I think this is also about communicating to yourself. What do I love? What is important to me, and how much time do I spend talking about what I love and what I want versus what the obstacles are ahead, or what will happen if, I'm not available to whoever expects a certain amount of empathy, compassion, or support from me. Because if there's been blocks, the angels are saying to look deeper. Where's your focus been? Where has your focus been? Because on some level, it's time to end the burden, the thoughts that come from burden. When Caressa offers new happiness. When I endeavored to be Teri, I got to tell you, I didn't look to other people's results to see if it was possible. I didn't even try to define myself as one thing. What I felt that I was best at, I'd always been best at. I help people at a deep psychological level. And I didn't phrase it this way in the past, but I know how to align and I know how to manifest. And that's what I trusted. And I just kept saying to Spirit, thank you for bringing all the people to me who will best be served by my gifts and my talents. And let there be an even exchange of energy within that supports the highest vibration for all. So as you look at yourself and you say Pisces and any planets that you have in Pisces, this is bringing them to an elevation of awareness of the divine laws that allow me the privilege of experiencing a challenge so that I can then experience the reward of overcoming that challenge. And in this particular case, it's the burden of your own perception and the permissions you're giving yourself. Pisces is a very compassionate, you are literally the yin and the yang, the two fishes coming together. So if that situation were to disengage, it can very much throw Pisces off. And yet at the same time, it's so important to represent your half of the equation. All right, let's go on to our final sign, Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Don't have exact time of birth in the UK. I do have an Aquarius moon, been told Gemini rising. I need a chart rectification done. I don't know who can do this. Just for yourself, I'll real quickly say this for justice for all. If you go and you look at like the whole day, most of the time there's really only two options of a rising sign. And sometimes you'll see that the rising stays the whole day or the moon stays in a sign the whole day. When I've done them, and then your personal self. So if you look at the rising as your perception and what you think, because I know my rising as an Aries, I absolutely I get that I'm a warrior. I've always been one. And I've always stood up for the underdog, like even when it's none of my business. So I think you can kind of play with it yourself a little bit before you go out and just check those. I also like Placidus for that. Anyway, all right. Okay. Aries. Here's your lovely card, the Four of Pentacles. This is not an easy energy because it's an energy where there's a perception of scarcity coming ahead, a perception of some kind of, I got to hoard my resources. Now, the only thing I can really think of is that you could potentially be very triggered by the Venus-Chiron conjunction this week. And the idea that Mercury, which rules your everyday activities, is up against the North Node. So let's look and see what Spirit's focusing in on here. Because we never want to focus in on an energy that restricts and constricts. And that's what's happening here. And we could even construe that thoughts are of material resources. The thoughts are dominant right now are of material resources. We look at the card with the coin inside of the crown, and Venus rules money. So does Jupiter. And that conjunction is in your second house. Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Sorry if you're pulling out of my brain. All right, our first angel is Fiona. Now that you ask God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. Grace and Antoinette is about compassion in a situation. Crystal's about faith and hope. And Rosetta is about parenting, teaching, and a childlike innocence. Fiona is being joined by the Death card. Water Fairy is joining Grace and Antoinette. The dog is joining Crystal. And Rosetta is being joined by the Love card. I want to offer this for my Aries, okay? Because I really, truly believe that your ruling planet, which Mars is about to enter your first house. It's going to happen in, I think, the 29th, a couple of days, right after the full moon. And I think that there's a huge transformation going. I'm going to offer this too, because we say often that Mars doesn't like to wait. Mars is not patient. Mars wants to charge ahead. Mars's journey through through Pisces, your 12th house, conversing with Saturn, and then with Neptune, is really implementing this spiritual warrior energy, understanding the divine laws of the universe. Every time I think of Mars right now, I see Keith Carradine from the Kung Fu days. You know, he's this little half Asian man who comes into these cowboy towns, and all the big cowboys are going to beat him up. They think he's just, you know, this wimpy guy. And of course, because he's half Asian, he's being persecuted. And then he just turns around and kicks ass, but he's totally calm. You never see him coming. Okay. And I feel like that is what's going on here. It's like, now that you've asked God and the angels for your transformation, be open to receiving it so that you can release yourself from being stuck. And that stuckness could very well have an attachment to your second house of material resources and possessions. Now we have this opportunity and this obstacle. The opportunity is, did you hear the ding? I apologize. I have the phone off and the sound down, but you know, I have no technological skills. It was a text. Sorry. Water Fairy and Grace and Antoinette. This is a journey, emotional journey, and having compassion for the emotional journey that you have been on. When we think about Mars traveling through Pisces and meeting with Saturn, there was a review of your history and restriction as a result of it, or authority that was coming down on you that felt, you know, potentially out of balance. But in the angels' advice, something is coming that is proving to you something much better. Love in the form of, this dog is like, it feels double whammy. It feels as if there'll be love from the outside world that you can't see, but also a sense of inner peace coming. That, oh my goodness, you guys, I'm so sorry. I have the sound all the way down, all the way down. Okay, and Aries in the final position. I want to offer this. This Rosetta is about guiding, parenting, and teaching. And there's the Love card. And I think that this is really about spirit has your back. I really believe that there are many people who have incarnated at this time who have a deep connection to the upliftment of this planet. And they've been willing to walk through some pretty dark times in order to triumph and be a witness, or have people witness their triumph and their rising above. So I think that this is what's going on. I don't think you're stuck for long. I think that this Four of Pentacles, the four, somehow is resonating to the 4-degree Scorpio full moon. And while I do believe that you might be a little challenged with the process, I think you're conquering it. The Death card is a 46, which reduces down to a 1. Awareness of my thoughts. The Water Fairy is a 28, which reduces down to a 10, which is a 1. The dog is a 19, which reduces down to a 10, which is a 1. 1, 1, 1. Master number of thought releases me from being stuck from anything within the material realm. And that makes me a teacher of love. Thank you, Queen Leo. Well, you guys, we are here in the midst of it. I can't say that I have no foreboding during these transits right now. I have a sense of triumph. I know that there are challenges in the material world that we're looking at. And at the same time, Spirit shows me over and over again that alignment to our soul's deeper truth will insulate many of us from what others will experience. So know that that trust that you're displaying in your bigger self that lives outside of this human experience is insulating you from any material challenges, any love challenges, anything that would normally be construed as, oh, you're so lucky, because you're creating that luck. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I don't know how to say that. Marugal, Dongri. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you enjoyed today's live. We'll be back next Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time to enjoy more of the depths of our our Taurus season. And we're about to have some energies coming up in May that are going to continue from this month. So the more where we are now, the more we can take advantage of the bounty that's being offered us. All right, everybody. That's it for this week. I will see you next week. Have a wonderful week. And if you'd like to book an astrology reading with me or an intuitive reading, I am available. My information is below. Send me an email and I'll send you the information. And enjoy your week. Thank you, Small Wildflowers. Always appreciate you and your dedication to the upliftment of our community and our tribe. Love you all. Peace.